Hey, it's Larry. Welcome to Stewarding the Wealth Transfer. I get to introduce you today to a new friend of mine, Marcus, and this is our first face-to-face conversation. Like me, you've probably watched him, and he's really got a solid presence. He's got solid information, and he's got a different niche. And I'm going to ask him exactly what he feels like his God-given niche is. But Marcus, it's really great to have you on our channel today. So thank you for being willing. And I've really enjoyed the couple conversations we've had. How's it going?
It's going well. Thank you, Larry. Yeah, I just released a video yesterday that took me like a week and a half to edit. So, I'm glad to kind of give the editing work to somebody else, So we'll have this conversation and you get to edit this and put it
You
up
you
on your channel.
you did an interview and I only got to watch part of it, but it's one of your first subscribers and he's a longtime prophetic investor, if I got the gist of it in a few minutes. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, he's been following Kim Clement prophetic words about the wealth transfer since 2006. Not only Kim Clement, but Kim Clement is what got him into the wealth transfer. The Big E, kind of like you. So yeah.
Yeah. In fact, he asked some questions. I would have an opinion on answers. I'm not sure, I have a strong opinion on some of the questions he asked, but that's cool. I appreciate you doing that. Um, so I have a question for you, Marcus. How did God lead you? Did you wake up or did you always want to be a YouTuber? I mean, my kids, I don't know if you have kids, but my kids are just like, Dad, please don't disgrace the family. Don't, at 60 years old, start becoming a YouTuber, please, Dad. But how did you do it? What did your family think? And how did I believe that God led you to do it? So how did that happen?
Yeah. So, first and foremost, I'm called to ministry. So I left the Marine Corps in 2017 to go to Bible college and pursue the call of God on my life. There was never a thought of being a YouTuber, but I believe I started this channel in 2018, which is while I was in Bible college. So I started this channel to be a ministry channel, but I didn't post on it probably for a year and a half. So I posted about a dozen re-uploads from Facebook onto my YouTube channel. Fun fact, that's not the way to do YouTube. It's not going to get you many subscribers or views just re-uploading from Facebook. So I posted a dozen videos and got about 300 total views and 4 subscribers, and didn't post for like another year and a half until I posted my first well transfer video, which was a Shiba Inu dream I had about sell limit orders. Again, 4 subscribers, 300 total channel views. I posted that video and I'm thinking like, okay, 300 views, I'm thinking would be like a good number of views for this video. Again, such a tiny channel. And it had 8,000 views in the first week. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. And so I got 1,000 subscribers in less than a month. And as you know, 1,000 subscribers is one of the benchmarks to be able to get monetized. And then you need watch hours, which took much longer to get. But, I've just been building since then. So it kind of happened organically. I had been following this community, watching videos for about a year before I posted my first video. So there wasn't an intention to be a YouTuber. It was just, okay, I had a dream. Let me share it with the
Right.
community, sort of thing.
Well, I think I really like who you are on and tell us your channel. I mean, I know what it is, but I'm gonna put the wording. It's an interesting play on words. I like it.
Yeah, the name of the channel is Walk This Way, but there's a brackets, but there's a bracket on either side of the HIS and this. So it's Walk His Way, the way of Christ. And that was inspired by a prophetic word that I got in 2017. And I'll say this very humbly, and I'm only saying it because it's about my channel name. But this woman who is like probably top 2 most prophetic women of people I've met in my life. She told me that in future days, people will say about me um, the same thing that Paul wrote: "Be imitators of me as
Right.
I'm an imitator of Christ. You know, they'll say, okay, look at the way Marcus walked, look at the way Marcus did things. We can follow that pattern. And again, I say it very humbly. And so, but that's what inspired the channel name. So I'm saying, walk this way, you know, follow me as I follow Christ in a sense. And my actual username is at Marcus the Minister.
Well, I just have to say, because people, there's a lot more people who want to talk to you than you have time to talk to, but I ended up reaching out to you. We got to have a conversation. Then I did a really missions ministry oriented video, and I thought I broke the algorithm. And you, a much more experienced, person, reached out to me, and I just loved it because it was so encouraging. It was like I had an older brother who's much younger, and you kind of patted me on the back, said, Larry, this is just the way that it is. You're not, you've hit a few doubles, and welcome to getting a foul ball here. The ball's not going to always go where you hope it would. And
Yeah.
so but I just appreciated the heart that you did that. And so I know that you're the real deal. I mean, it was an interesting series of conversations, and I just thought he didn't need to do that. He's actually looking out for me. So ever since then, I thought you seemed like a nice guy, but now I know you're a great guy. And so I appreciate your friendship. And even though we don't know each other, we're going to talk at the end about how I think we are going to be seeing each other at the beginning of the year with a couple other channels, or another channel at least. And so we'll get there to that. But what are you really excited about, and what concerns you about the wealth transfer? Just the here there's a few of us. Maybe there's all kinds of people who share dreams and stuff, but what's really exciting to you, and what's concerning to you about the wealth transfer?
Well, the thing about me is I'm a very even keel person. I'm not very excitable to begin with. I'm the type of person where I don't like to get my hopes up, so I wait until the thing is actually there and then I get excited, right? And so I'm kind of even keel with the wealth transfer right now. I'm just making sure I'm in position. I'm keeping my eyes focused on the Lord, and I'm waiting to and watching, you know. Now, I am excited for the next phase. I am excited for wealth to be received, and now it's time to build. Now it's time to work. That's what I'm excited for. Now, as far as what I'm concerned about, you know, what I see, what I feel like is happening right now in the community is there's a concerted effort by the enemy right now to try and discredit certain voices who have had a good track record. So it's like people are being discredited and pulled into question all of a sudden. But I'm seeing it not just in this community, but widespread, you know, ministers outside of the body. Again, people who have a good track record, and they're kind of being lumped in with the exposure that's been happening all year long in various places. And I feel like the enemy is causing division. And unfortunately, some people who may actually have a heart for the Lord in some ways are being used by the enemy in this right now. This isn't to condemn anyone. I mean, even Peter, who was part of Jesus's inner circle,
Right.
inner three, at one point the Lord turned to him and said, get behind me, Satan. You know, so the enemy can sneak in and just use someone in a moment and temporarily through their flesh, you know. And I feel like that's what's going on right now. So my concern is the discernment of the community, because I feel like it's lacking, and people idolize accurate prophecies, or prophecies that seem to be accurate, and they say, oh, that person is accurate, so that must mean they do no wrong, and anything they say is correct, and anything they do is correct, and that's not the case at all.
Oh, that's good. You know, it's interesting what you're saying, because I don't know that I don't know what the percentage of, let's use the designation, sheep churches and goat churches, or sheep individuals. I mean, they're and goats. I mean, the goats maybe have an understanding, but they don't with their heart follow after God. they might have a head knowledge. I don't know what the number is, but I think it's going to be fairly split. I think the church is going to be split 60-40, and I don't know which way is going to be more, but that's kind of what I expect. And so um has I'm going to tell you that this is interesting with me. God has called me, as I only started my channel, I think I registered the name at the end of 2023, but I didn't really start till the middle of January. But God really convinced me that, Larry, you've got to walk at a higher level, got to walk his way. As I began to, take on a different level, maybe of influence, I didn't know if there would be any influence that would follow. I think that it's probably more so than I expected. And I think that I take it very seriously. And I think that God, I'm not saying I'm not wrong. And I think people should, question or whatever. But I mean, I've felt and I've shared about how God has called me to a level of holiness where I have to watch things that maybe in the past, that's a much finer sieve at this point in my life than I've had at other times. And is God calling you? It's not that maybe I always attain everything that He's called me to, but I mean, there's a calling and an anointing that can accompany being a voice. And even though I don't know if you're a prophet, but I know you're prophetic. And so that's what I would say about myself. I love the prophetic, and I want to eagerly desire the greater gifts. But what is God doing in your own life in this time? And is there an extra burden or blessing that accompanies your role in serving Him like you do?
Hmm. I feel like I've been in transition for like a year and a half now. I left the military again. So I left the Marine Corps 2017, went to Bible college, and then I joined the Army in 2019. And that ended at the very end of 2022. And I feel like I've been in transition and living a somewhat nomadic lifestyle. But I feel that's by design. That was actually prophesied to me in 2017. So I feel like he's teaching me to obviously depend solely on him. He's working some things out of me and conditioning me to be the individual he wants me to be once the wealth comes, right? So that I'm not influenced by wealth, if you will, or influenced
Right,
by
right.
mammon, or influenced by these different things. Um, and so that's what's been going on right now. I think he's been working in the area of relationships in my life. And I mean, I feel like this discussion, this interaction is evidence of that. I've been forming different relationships in the community, re-strengthening other relationships in my personal life, and so I've seen that happening a lot as well. Relationships being redeemed, um, and yeah, I mean, as far as influencing others and leadership, yes, he's calling everyone higher, but definitely if you're called to be a leader, if you're called to be a teacher, I mean, it's biblical that a teacher is held to a higher standard. So someone in ministry is held to a higher standard by the Lord. So yeah, definitely.
What would you say is your channel's niche?
So,
Because you're a pretty tech savvy guy. You're much more tech savvy than me.
oh,
And
you think so?
well, I was just, just like, I mean, I've got this little pansy microphone right here, but look at that big dog microphone that Marcus has got, so I'm just using my ear pods. I'm going to be like Marcus someday. I might have to search Amazon and see if I can come up with one of those. But now what
Yeah,
is your niche?
that's all I did was I searched Amazon. This does not mean I'm tech savvy. I just looked at microphones, looked at reviews, and I was like, oh, I guess this one, let's see. Let's see how it does. But my niche, um, I think my niche kind of chose itself. I mean, I created this channel just to be a ministry channel, Christian ministry. What is the Lord saying? Christian ministry with a prophetic undertone, if you will. And I pretty much become a well transferred channel. I never decided that I wanted to be that. I don't view myself as that, but as I share what the Lord gives me to share, it's just very frequently related to the wealth transfer. So my niche would be like Christian, biblical finance. I mean, I can't, it's hard to say because I don't feel that's what it is. I feel like it's prophetic, Christian prophetic ministry. That's what I feel it is. Yes.
Well, I mean, and that's in such a need. And I don't know. One of the things that my niche in my channel is to talk about what Kim Clement, normally the eight wells, but one of the things that I come to conclude and I vehemently defend is that Kim Clement makes it very clear, especially the last words that people say often reveal the most, especially as a prophetic person, about what they think is important. And so Kim's last prophecy of the thousands he made, the last prophecy, which is the first one that comes up because they're in order of the way they're recorded at houseofdestiny.org. It really talks about the apostolic reformation that's coming. And so I think it's really cool. And there's a level of anointing that's coming into the business world via the prophetic that is going to be unimaginable. And I believe that there's an anointing on you for that. And I think that there's a growing anointing on me. And I think it's really interesting. The other thing that I think, and this is related more to a Bob Jones, I never got to see Bob Jones. He had been to my town, but I wasn't in the fivefold at that time to be smart enough to go see him. There's quite a few crazy things that happen. One of the things he said, and I'm going to get your opinion on this, he said that this upcoming outpouring that I don't think has really fully come yet, but it's definitely boiling. The pot's boiling. It's not boiled over with the Spirit of God outflow. But he said, if I remember right, he said, it's not going to be two or three big names. It's going to be 10,000 unknown faces that are going to be carrying, the anointing. And I feel like, Marcus, that you're one of those people that's carrying, an anointing, and you're going to become a known more and more person. But what do you, I don't know, what do you get excited about? Then I'm going to talk about some of the things I get excited about. And you may have a question. So what gets you excited? Do you have any questions for me? And then we're going to kind of go to what we might be doing together here in a bit.
What gets me excited, honestly, I mean, the most fulfilling thing is serving the Lord by serving others. It sounds cliche. I know it does, but I promise you that is the most fulfilling thing in life for me. Um, all the way back in, man, like 2014 to 2015, if you would have asked me, Marcus, you can do anything you want in the world. Money's not an issue. What do you want to do with your life? The answer was ministry. 10 years ago, the answer
Hmm.
was ministry. Anything, and not be a professional athlete or an artist or, anything related to money, ministry. And, that's what God has created me for. And so I'm excited to do more of that. I've gone through phases in that, before I started getting really serious on YouTube, which was last September. Um, I was on staff at a church. I was a pastor. I had my lead pastor, and I was his right hand man. And we were the only two pastors on staff. And so it's just ministry in various aspects, and that's honestly what excites me. I know the plans that God has for me, and it's some exciting things. I don't like to share the prophetic words over my life too much because it a lot of times it sounds like I'm boasting just because of the Lord's
Yeah.
plans for me. But I'm looking forward to progressing in His plans for me. Yeah.
So I'm just going to share it this way and just talking about the future, because as a business leader, I wasn't a business leader 25 years ago, but I began to go to conferences, and I was becoming a residential builder where I did a 17 unit project, and I was really struggling. I didn't have the knowledge, and I had the ability to get the financing, and it was after doing a number of single family homes. I tried to do a larger project. It's not a big one by anybody's standards, but for me it was at the time. And I began to fail, And so I got essentially encouraged by two successful men in the church who are similar to age to me, and but they had been longer in business than me, and they told me, you need to run with other people. You need to not, create the wheel. You need to hang out with people who've already created the wheel and then do what they do. And you're going to be surprised if you come together what you can learn from the collective. And it's like iron sharpening iron. And they were encouraging me to join the National Home Builders, which is obviously not a Christian organization. Yet I ended up coming away with the most amazing knowledge base, and I was able to experience extremely aggressive, learning curve and returns on investment that, I was improving my income 300% a year for every year I was with these guys. I just was doing what they were doing. I still didn't come close to what they were doing, but I went from selling one house a year to 25 homes a year, over
Yeah.
a 3-year period. And then my margins on every one of the houses were really far bigger. So, but I also learned that I needed to know people who knew what it was like to have an abundance of resources so that I wouldn't waste it, because we're really influenced by the people that we hang out with. And, when you are a kid, you don't always realize, but your parents intuitively know whoever you choose to hang out with is going to have huge impact on how you end up. That's not any different, honestly, whether you're 30 or 40, married or single. If you choose the wrong people to be influenced by, you're going to, really, it's going to have a detrimental impact. So I've wanted to have high level, polished Christian business leader conferences. Um, but it's not all about knowledge, because it's the network as much as anything else. And so this idea that I've talked to you, and I will say that I've talked to Lauren, and she's all in. She had to think about it, and we have not, we have no contracts or anything, but I'm exploring, and you're open to the idea. And what I think in the wealth transfer community, here's a little bit of my dream that I would love to share. I'm sharing it, but you already know some of this, Marcus. But I want to hear you. You've been on a number of cruises, so you're going to have an opinion. But I feel like cruises are a great avenue. When I used to go to these conferences, we would go to a really high-end hotel, and it was like obscenely expensive. And I didn't initially have the money, and it was a huge sacrifice to do it. And I feel like in this event, we need to be on the other side of the wealth transfer, so we're looking at early in 2025. And but the thing is, what we're going to do in 2025 is going to cost half what it costed me to be a part of it in 2005. So we can go on a cruise. Now your airfare is going to depend on you, but for around $1,500, you're going to be able to go on this cruise, and you can choose much finer rooms. And so you might spend $1,800 a person, and your airfare might be 700, it might be 100. I don't know what it will be, but it costs more when you go as a group. But the thing that I want to do is, I don't want to have continual educational opportunities. I just think that we'd all get the same shirt, and these are just ideas I have, so that you could wear it. Maybe on 2 days, you've got to wear your shirt, so you can see these 200 people, maybe it'll be 250 people walk around the ship, and we'll all have some shirt that we agree on, whoever's good at designing stuff. And then I want you to eat dinner most nights with somebody, these groups of people. And then each channel who would come, and Lauren is planning on coming, I'm planning on coming. And I hope that you come, and we're talking about maybe one more, I don't know. But then they would have their designated night, and then there might be opportunities to cooperatively even just pray and do stuff. So it's not going to be a huge educational thing where we take away from the cruise. What's your thoughts? How do you react to that? What do you like, and what do you question?
I mean, I think I may be a little biased because I'm from Florida. I've been on 7 cruises in my life. I think cruises are the best type of vacation. That's me personally, though. I'm biased. There's a reason I've been on 7. But with that said, I think all of that sounds good. I think, having maybe set times where there is a gathering of the group, but then also the freedom to be on vacation,
Right.
and likewise, like dinner, being able to mingle, being able to meet other people, network, as they call it in the business world. I just look at it as fellowshipping, forming, relationships and whatnot. I think all of that is great. I mean, I think it's a great idea. It sounds exciting to me.
What are you excited about? What are some of the dreams that God's given you, possibly on the other side in the future?
So I have a comment and a question. So my comment was simply, when you mentioned having the need to link up with people who have done it before, that will help you grow and progress instead of trying to reinvent
Or
the wheel.
or who are doing it together. I think it's valid in this situation, but keep going. Yes.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to confirm, that I was told that very distinctly in a dream in January, like a very powerful dream. And I was told that I need to link up with someone who's already going in the direction that I'm trying to go. So I just wanted to
Mhm.
confirm that. And then the question I had was about the cruise. So have you been in talks with the cruise lines, or have you been negotiating? And if you had any comments on that.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be a 7-day cruise out of Florida. I want it to be a 5-level ship. The newer, bigger ships have a lot of amenities that the smaller ones don't, but that's not necessarily always better. So we aren't going to worry about a band and music. We're not going to try to do everything because I don't want to raise the price. I want it to be really simple. And I love the idea of other channels who I would love to get to meet the people, but I think it'd be just really cool for everybody. But the thing is, whether you prefer Marcus or Lauren or whatever, we're all on the same journey together. We have a destiny of prosperity, and we need to steward this wealth and influence, for his perspective and for his kingdom. There's going to be friends that are going to be very jealous of your new success. And they're not going to be, I mean, if you, Marcus, I don't know what your percentage of people who believe in the wealth transfer, but I joke around it's about 1 out of 100, 1 out of 100 people, if that. And so those other 99 people are going to be actually kind of mad. Like, why didn't you tell me? Well, holy smokes. I mean, I'd tell you, but they're going to be mad. They're going to be frustrated. You're going to accelerate above their level of, you're not going to be more important. You're going to be worth a lot more. And it's going to create friction and things change. I mean, and when I lost my wealth, when I went through bankruptcy, I lost friends. And that showed me I didn't have friends when there were literally people who didn't want to hang out with me because I went bankrupt. And I was like, oh my word, I thought you were, decent. But I mean, now that I made it back, I didn't seek friends with them. You got to be intentional. So I think this is a great opportunity. And I think that's one of the biggest benefits. So I will let you have the last word. It's been really awesome to talk.
It's funny. I'm a city guy. I've been raised in the city, never had any interest in the country, but in 2020, this weird desire out of nowhere started to pop up to look into farming and how to start a farm and all of this. So, I definitely think there's going to be land, and I feel even community building, like in a physical sense, I don't like to use the word like communal living
What
because
about Goshen? Is that what you're talking about? Lauren was talking
yeah,
about Goshen. Lauren was
yeah, I
talking about
definitely
Goshen
feel like
yesterday.
yeah, I definitely feel that that's part of it. The Lord gave me a word though, which was Eden. And I've
Hmm.
yet to make a video on this, but he never directly gave me Goshen, although I do believe I'm involved in that, as most pretty much people who are called to the wealth transfer are. But specifically what he gave me was Eden. Um, and he gave me a year as well, but I'll make a video on that at another
Well,
time.
dude, you should do that on my channel. You should spill the beans right now, man. Come on, Marcus. No, I know you got to save the best stuff. But thanks for bringing the good stuff, and it's been really awesome. And thanks for coming on today, Marcus. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
thank you. Thank you for having me.